no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by
you
the
wrote
prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be. The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Say it louder so your other eye can hear you.
The drama surrounding Snow White just won't die down. Bob Iger is scrambling to control the fallout, while Rachel Zegler remains outspoken, still insisting the film is a massive success despite the undeniable facts. The reality: Snow White flatlined at just $168 million worldwide, and ever since Minecraft hit theaters on April 4th, the film has been in a nosedive, barely making any significant impact at the box office. But here's the kicker: Rachel Zegler is clearly struggling to accept the brutal reality. She's not just upset by the backlash, she's spiraling over the steep box office drop. The film, once expected to be a big hit, is now being dubbed one of the biggest flops in movie history, not just for Disney, but in the entire industry. Check out the AMD score if you haven't already. It's sitting at a dismal number, even lower than Dragon Ball Evolution. And things have only gotten worse since Minecraft dominated the box office, accelerating the downfall of Snow White. Now, both Iger and Zegler are in full-on damage control mode. Zegler, especially, is refusing to let this slide. She snapped back repeatedly to critics dragging the film and calling out the free fall numbers. Recently, she went on another tirade that had everyone talking. In her latest defense, Rachel Zegler is making it clear that the hate aimed at Snow White is more than just about the movie. It's part of a wider issue of toxic fandom and political agendas. According to her, some of the critics are using the film as a target for their personal biases, and she's not standing for it. Zegler claims that no matter how critics try to twist the narrative, Snow White is the #1 movie in the world. She describes the film as one about fairness, kindness, and showing what it means to be a strong woman facing life's challenges like a warrior. But instead of celebrating these messages, some people are review bombing it, intentionally tanking the film's reception just to make a point. Rachel doesn't hold back either. She's labeled this behavior childish and doubled down on her commitment to the project. She's been clear in saying, "Nobody knows how much I sacrificed for this role," adding that it was more than just twirling in a dress for 16 hours a day. She insists it took real courage, heart, and bravery to bring this updated version of Snow White to life. She's not backing down, and she's also called out fans still clinging to the classic 1930s version of the character. "It's the 2020s now," she said, "and people need to accept that times have changed." She argues that women are receiving more respect, but the fight is far from over. Zegler continues to dismiss claims that the film is pushing an agenda, labeling such takes as fake noise. For her, acting is all about reading emotions, and it's clear that she's using that sixth sense to express how she feels about the film's reception. But let's face it, at this point, her comments are starting to feel more like desperate spin rather than insightful reflection. The cold truth is that Snow White is done for. With a worldwide gross of just $168 million, Disney has a lot to answer for. In contrast, Minecraft, which just released on April 4th, has already surpassed $301 million globally. That's triple the expected box office haul, and it smashed projections across the board. Audiences showed up in droves, proving that the hype was real. So, what went wrong with Snow White? Critics say it's a classic case of a studio focusing too much on ticking diversity boxes instead of delivering a film audiences actually wanted to see. From the awkward CGI dwarfs to the controversial casting choices, the whole movie felt forced and out of touch. Meanwhile, Minecraft stuck to familiar territory, creating something that felt fun and exciting for fans, and it absolutely crushed it at the box office. The comparison couldn't be clearer. One film leaned into what its audience loved, while the other tried to rewrite the playbook and failed. Let's talk about the Minecraft movie. Sure, it has its flaws. No one's calling it a masterpiece. But when compared to Snow White, it's not even close. This isn't just an improvement, it's an entirely different ballgame. A while ago, people were already predicting that Minecraft wouldn't bomb, and they were spot on. The game's fan base is huge, especially online, and they showed up big time at the box office, helping the film soar past $31 million. Sure, the movie's not for everyone. Some fans are divided, and critics aren't exactly praising it, but here's the crucial difference. The audience is divided, not outright repelled. People are genuinely enjoying it, and that's what counts. It may not be perfect, but it's pulling in viewers. Snow White, on the other hand, is a completely different story. Rachel Zegler has been pushing this narrative that the film is all about a woman who doesn't need a prince, turning the classic fairy tale upside down. One of the boldest moves was cutting the prince character, the one everyone remembers from the 1937 version. Zegler says it was a realistic choice, emphasizing that not every man has to be a prince and not every woman needs saving. Fair enough. But here's where the problem lies. That change didn't land the way they hoped. What was intended to be empowering instead felt like a deliberate attempt to erase everything people loved about the original. The decision to make Snow White strong, bold, and independent was meant to update the character for a new era, one where she doesn't need a man to define her. But what was supposed to feel progressive came off as a disregard for the beloved aspects of the original. This gamble clearly didn't pay off. It's a bold take, but the shift didn't resonate with everyone. Instead of feeling empowered, many viewers felt alienated. Critics are pushing back hard, and Rachel is firing back, calling it projection. But let's be real, if anyone's projecting here, it's her. She's been shading the male lead, Jonathan, a character that was stripped down and sidelined on purpose. This wasn't a random decision. Zegler, director Greta Gerwig, and the film's writers all signed off on this move. It feels like the team behind the film wanted to erase the original prince entirely, replacing him with a character who leaves almost no impact. And this isn't a one-time thing, it's part of a larger trend at Disney. They've been increasingly downplaying male characters, diminishing what made them iconic or pushing them to the background. Whether it's classic heroes or new ones, this pattern has been noticeable. Fans aren't oblivious to this, and the backlash is growing louder by the day. If Disney continues down this road, they risk alienating more viewers. The more they rewrite beloved characters, the more backlash they'll face. From the moment Rachel Zegler started doing interviews, fans had a bad feeling. It wasn't just the changes to the story, it was her whole attitude. People didn't feel the love. That energy carried over into how the film was received. There's been a growing buzz online that Snow White was doomed from the start, and honestly, people might have been right. Fans weren't buying the changes, and the film's reception is proof of that. Rachel Zegler didn't just promote Snow White, she practically tore down the original 1937 version, calling it outdated and in need of fix. She was relentless in reminding everyone how different her version would be, and this attitude didn't sit well with a lot of longtime fans. Instead of generating excitement, it sparked major backlash. As fans called her out for this, Zegler didn't back down. Instead, she doubled down, accusing people of clinging to the past and refusing to accept progress. But here's the issue. If you're remaking a beloved classic, maybe don't insult the very fans who made it a classic in the first place. The rollout of Snow White felt like a full-blown war between the audience and the people behind the movie. The tension was palpable, and with the box office numbers tanking, it's clear that all those early warning signs were right. From day one, the writing was on the wall, and now Disney is left scrambling to clean up the mess. But here's where it gets even messier. Behind the scenes, sources say that Disney was completely caught off guard by how badly Snow White flopped. They thought their bold new direction would win over a younger crowd and generate some fresh hype. What they didn't expect was the fierce backlash from older fans and the deafening silence from the new audience they were hoping to attract. Reportedly, Disney pumped millions into reshoots, CGI upgrades, and aggressive marketing in an attempt to salvage the film after early feedback came in. But none of it worked. The numbers just kept falling. Worse still, some insiders are saying that even people within Disney had concerns from the beginning, but no one wanted to speak up, especially with all the top names pushing the project so hard. Meanwhile, Rachel Zegler kept delivering speeches about how important the film was, how it would redefine what it means to be a woman on screen. But every time she spoke, the backlash only intensified. What was meant to promote the film started to feel more like scolding, and audiences didn't appreciate being talked down to. All this negative energy culminated in one of the biggest PR disasters Disney has faced in years. The Snow White reboot was meant to be a win for Disney. Instead, it's become the perfect example of what happens when a studio loses touch with the very fans who made them successful. Now, let's talk about damage control, because that's exactly what Disney is doing right now. Internally, the studio is shifting its focus to upcoming projects and quietly distancing itself from this disaster. They're hoping to bury Snow White without making any more headlines about it. Zegler, for her part, is still doing interviews and defending the film, But it's clear that her words are no longer having the same impact. Disney is reportedly debating whether to scale back or even scrap future reboots altogether. After this debacle, the last thing they want is another round of controversy blowing up in their faces. And honestly, who could blame them? When a film gets roasted this badly both online and at the box office, it forces executives to reconsider everything. Fans have made it clear they want respect for the classics, not full rewrites that throw the originals out the window. The audience Disney was targeting, they never showed up. The gamble didn't just fail, it backfired completely. Even some cast members have gone quiet in the wake of the film's failure. You can feel the shift. The hype is gone, the energy is low, and now Disney is just focused on cleaning up the mess. Disney might not be saying it out loud, but behind closed doors, Snow White is officially being treated like a loss. And in Hollywood, nothing speaks louder than silence. The most mind-blowing part: people are now comparing Snow White to some of the biggest flops in Hollywood history, and not in a good way. We're talking Cats, Morbius, and Jupiter Ascending. And guess what? It's earning its place on that list. From the online chaos to the collapsing box office, Snow White is ticking every single box for what a major studio disaster looks like. The internet has turned this film into meme material. Every clip, every quote, every awkward interview, it's all being torn apart. And with Rachel Zegler front and center in most of it, she's become the face of the fallout. Some fans are even calling it Zeglergate. That's how deep this rabbit hole goes. Meanwhile, other studios are watching this all unfold, taking notes on the disaster that Snow White has become. You can bet that upcoming remakes are being reevaluated in boardrooms everywhere right now. No one wants to make the same mistakes Disney did. The studio wanted a fresh take, but what they got was a full-blown crisis. If there's one thing Hollywood hates, it's losing money, especially in such a public way. So while Snow White quietly fades out, its crash might end up changing how studios approach reboots moving forward. This wasn't just a flop. It became a cultural moment for all the wrong reasons. Disney's backed itself into a corner, and now there's no easy way out. That's exactly why Disney is quietly hitting the brakes on more live-action remakes, like the much-discussed Tangled project. Word is they had big plans to change several characters, but after the Snow White fiasco, they're putting the brakes on everything. They might even scrap Tangled altogether to avoid another backlash. And that's where things stand for now. But trust me, the story isn't over yet. If you're loving the breakdowns and deep dives, make sure you like, subscribe, drop a comment, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. I'll catch you in the next one, and trust me, there's more to expose.